Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be testing out a couple of new makeup items that I picked up during the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale. So I've got just a handful of things here. I actually have a couple more things coming that there was a mess up in the order that anyways are going to be late. So we'll have to get to that stuff another time, but I've got some interesting stuff here, some new brands that I've never tried out before. Some of these I think you guys will be very surprised that I've never tried something out from this brand, but I have high hopes for them. Before we get into the makeup, I want to give a special welcome to any of you new visitors here. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please be sure to subscribe before you leave and make sure those notifications are turned on. With that said, let's just get right into the new makeup. All right, my hair is pinned back. We're gonna jump right in. Let me just mention what I have on my face so far. So I'm wearing my Kosas foundation and my It Cosmetics Bye Under Eye Concealer. I have a little bit of this really old Wet n Wild powder that I don't even think they make anymore, just kind of set things down. And then my brows, I just have some of the e.l.f. Shape and Stay wax and then the Refi Brow Gel. That's it. Now, a couple of these items, you guys, if you watched my Ulta 21 Days of Beauty recommendation video, where I gave you some of the things that I recommend and also some things I was interested in trying out for myself, I think most of these products were not even in that video. There are things that I kind of decided on later on. I did a really bad job during the sale this year of being organized. I didn't set any phone reminders, so a lot of the things that I wanted to pick up I ended up missing. But even still, I found a couple of things to try out. First off, I picked up a bronzer from Jaclyn Cosmetics. This is her Sunbathe Pressed Bronzer, and I got the shade Skinny Dip. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, this is one of the first things that I picked up, so I've had this for a couple of weeks while I've been waiting for my other stuff to come in, and I've already tried it. I do like it. It's a very interesting shade. I went with the shade Skinny Dip. Did I just say that? I think that I did. I went with this shade because it's kind of, it seemed kind of like a red toned bronzer. It's not too dark, but it has like a slightly pinkish red hue to it. But I have used it quite a bit and I do like it. It's an interesting addition to my collection. I don't have anything in my collection quite in this shade. I just want to warn you guys, if you have not tried these out, they have a very strong maple scent to them. I don't dislike it. I mean, you guys know I like scented makeup. I just don't know that I like my makeup to smell like a maple bar. It's like the one type of donut I don't really like. I mean, I like maple syrup. It's just a really strong smell. Have you guys ever gotten maple syrup like in your hair or something and then you can smell it for like the rest of the day? That's happened to me like 1 or 2 times. Maybe it was even when I was a little kid, but I remember like, geez, I feel like I smell like a pancake. And these are kind of like that. You're gonna smell like a walking pancake or maple donut. The one good thing about me not waiting to try this out for the first time in this video though is I've used it enough to know that it hasn't broken me out, which I was kind of surprised by. I thought that a bronzer that had this strong of a scent might be a bit of an issue for me, but I haven't had any breakouts from this so far. So I don't know if you guys are seeing that. It's pretty warm, but it has kind of that like rosy quality to it. It's not orange. Okay, so there's the bronzer, just a nice matte formula, blends really well, applies very easily. Pretty happy with this so far. Okay, so I don't have any blushes or highlighters. Let's just use something that I already have. I could use my Nudies Matte Bronzer Stick in Sunkissed. This is a really pretty color. Or we could also use the Patrick Ta. I feel like this is gonna be too brown. Why don't we go with this one? Such a pretty shade, which by the way is technically a bronzer shade. Let me swatch it for you guys just really quickly so you can kind of see look how pretty that is. It has a brownish hue, but it's pretty rosy. But if you happen to be interested in this shade, oh, I put way too much on my brush, that's okay. We'll come back and blend that out. Just so you know where to find it. There was one time I tried to link this. I could not find it anywhere because I was looking under their blush sticks and it's actually in one of their, a bronzer stick, technically. So I obviously got way too much on this side. That's all right, just gonna go back to the sponge that I used for my concealer and just kind of pull off some of that excess before it sets down. Go around the edges over here as well. Look at that beautiful fall shade though. That's a pretty fall cheek. Speaking of fall, it is the most beautiful day here. We had a good rain yesterday. Today, I think the high is supposed to be like 63, so good sweater and boots kind of weather. I ordered some new boots from Amazon and I can't decide if I like them or not. I need to decide so I can send them back if I need to, but I don't don't know. I'm in this weird phase when it comes to fashion. Fashion's not my hobby. It's not something I spend a lot of time or effort on, but I do want to look nice. And I'm finding myself in this place where styles have changed so much over the last probably decade or more that a lot of the stuff that I regularly wear, by the way, this is just MAC Double Gleam, I kind of feel like is out of style. Like I'm having a hard time with the trends in jeans right now, where I think almost all of my jeans are out of style. They're all either low rise or too ripped and kind of distressed, which I don't think is really in right now. But I can't find a style that I think looks good on me or that I like. So I'm just in this weird place where I just don't know what to wear anymore. Like I feel like maybe that's just part of getting old. Like fashion has moved on without me. I don't know. I'm having a hard time. I do have some high-waisted jeans on today. And I kind of like them. I just feel like they look weird on me. They look good on everyone else, but they look weird on me. Anyways, so I feel like you can never go wrong with a t-shirt and a cardigan, right? Is that still true? I hope so, because that is what I live in 6 months out of the year. All right, let's move on to the eyeshadow palette. Okay, so here is a new brand, at least new to me. They've been around for a while. I picked up one of their eyeshadow palettes because it was on sale. This is from the brand REM Beauty. I'm sure you guys have heard of this brand. I don't think that this was technically part of the sale. I could be wrong about that. I just saw when I was looking for eyeshadow palettes what was on sale. This happened to turn up and I thought I would give it a try. So normally I think this thing is $24. I got mine for half price, $12. I don't think all of them were on sale though. They had quite a few different color schemes and this one is Groovy Baby that happened to be on sale. I'm a bit wild about that purple right there. That's not a shade I use very often, but there are a couple really pretty shimmers in here. Let me insert a close-up of this palette for you guys along with some swatches. I don't know. I don't have like the highest hopes for this thing, to be honest, but I'm curious to try the formula. Let me know if you guys have tried these out before. So one thing I did notice before we get started with the eyes, it doesn't look like there's a transition shade in here that I would be happy using. This shade has too much shimmer in it. I don't really want to use the purple today. I feel like that's just gonna be too colorful. I don't know, should I just do it? Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna use the purple. I kind of wanted to use my bronzer instead, but I feel like if I'm trying out a palette, I should really just try out the palette and show what the palette can do. So let's do it. Let's go ahead and use the purple. Actually, let me take this brush. This is my Sydney Grace blending brush. I'm gonna dip it into that purple shade right there. Oh gosh, I hope I don't regret this. I'm just gonna put a little bit of this above my crease. Cooler tone purples scare me more than any other color. I've never been super successful at getting a cooler tone purple look to look good on me. This seems to be pretty soft. I'm also trying to be a little light-handed because I don't want this to be very bold. Okay, I'm actually really happy that this purple is not showing up a ton. I mean, it's a really soft, muted kind of purple. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this color right here, kind of the taupe, and I wanna put that on the outer half of my lid. We're gonna use a flat brush. This is just a little Refer 21 kind of flat concealer type brush. And this I'm just going to tap onto the outer half of my eyelid. So I'm gonna take my finger. The amount of shimmer in this shade is pretty subtle. It's not super metallic, it just has a light sheen to it, which is probably good for the outer part of the eyelid. I do like the color. It's not as dark as I was thinking it might go on. Okay, before we go to the inner corner, let's build up a little bit of this dark kind of plum color in the outer corner. By the way, the packaging of this is really interesting. It looks kind of like some sort of like spaceship. Feels very sturdy and high-end. I do really like this color. This seems to be building up really nicely. Okay, that's actually really pretty. Even that transition shade, which was pretty weak as far as pigmentation, but I actually like just that soft kind of look, and the pigmentation in that darker shade was really, really nice. I'm gonna go back and add just a little bit more of this silver. I feel like I over blended. Probably should have done the darker color first. So add a little bit more just to the center. Now let's dip into this shade right here, which is kind of like a light peachy gold. And then we have just a true champagne right there. I'm gonna tap this all over the inner part of the lid and overlap that silver right at the center. And we'll probably pop that lightest shade right on the inner corner. Okay, that's a beautiful, beautiful color, really strong pigmentation, not super metallic again. Has a lot of pigmentation, but it's not super reflective. It's a more subtle kind of metallic or shimmer. A little more mature eyelid friendly, as I like to say, kind of like the Persona formula. There's a couple other formulas that are like this. The Lorac formula is kind of like this. It's just a little bit softer of a shimmer. Okay, and then we're gonna take just a little bit of this shimmer right here. I'm going to take that on a wet brush, just a small little concealer brush. We're gonna dip it into that champagne and then just pop this right on that inner corner. That's pretty. Okay, that's actually a really pretty eye look. I kind of want to add a tiny bit of this green to the lower lash line just because I used almost every shade inside here. I feel like we might as well just go all in. So for that, I'm just going to take this little tiny C-shaped eyeshadow brush and dip the very tip of it into this dark green shimmer right here. We're just lightly going to put this right at the lashes. Just on the outer third of my lower lash line because I don't want to close off my eye too much. I just realized something, you guys. I cannot believe that I did this. So I also picked up this during the sale. This is from the brand About Face. This is one of their liquid eyeshadows. It's a liquid matte eyeshadow, and I got the white one. I wanted to use this on my inner corner underneath that shade. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a Q-tip and kind of wipe some of this off. I actually don't even feel like I need the brightness of this white. It's pretty bright as it is, but there are certain eyeshadow palettes that I have, if they don't have an inner corner or an inner lid shade that is quite bright enough for me, I thought maybe putting a white underneath would kind of help brighten them up a little bit. It's like using a really light concealer. So I'm just gonna put a tiny little swipe of this right on that inner lid right there, and then we're gonna kind of tap it out. And then we'll top it with that champagne once again. Just wiped off that little concealer brush and we're just gonna tap this in. It is pretty pigmented, it's pretty budge proof. I haven't tried it for anything other than just the inner part of my eye. I don't imagine that I would. They also had some shimmery, glittery ones. I thought about trying one of those and then I remembered how many of the Stila eye glitters I have just, like I buy them or I get them in a little set and then I never ever use them and they dry out. So I thought we'd try the matte one, kind of a change of pace. Okay, now let's go back to the eyeshadow palette again. And we're gonna dip again into this shade right here, the champagne, and just pop that over the top. Gosh, I almost feel like that's too bright. I'm gonna take a little bit of this other shimmer and just once again, because I kind of erased some of what I put down initially, just tap that right over top of. Nice and bright, that's for sure. Now let's go in with a little bit of mascara. I'm gonna take my Cali Ray mascara, and then I'm gonna throw on my 3/4 lashes. I will link these down below for you guys. Then I'll be right back and we'll finish off with just one more thing. All right, here we go. This is the finished eye look. Pretty soft and natural. I like the cooler tone. Really nice quality. I was actually pretty happy with these. That said, I'm usually a sucker for a really metallic, impactful, shimmery formula, as you guys very well know. This is a much more soft, kind of natural sheen. It's very pretty. It's very flattering on the eyes. I might even say it's probably more flattering for my eyelids than what I normally go for, which is something with a little bit more sparkle in it. But I know not everyone is like that, especially those of you that are over 40 like me. I know some of you like something not so in your face when it comes to shimmer. I think you would especially like this formula. Pretty happy with this one so far. I'd say so far, solid 8 out of 10. Let's move on to the lips. So I have something from a brand that I've never tried before, and that is the brand Buxom. Can you guys believe I've never tried out a lip product from Buxom before? I know they have been around forever. I don't know what's taken me so long, but I ended up picking up 2 of their Powerline plumping lip liners. I haven't tried these out yet, but I did swatch them on the back of my hand, and they are pretty budge proof. That's why I picked these up in the first place. I am a sucker for trying out long wearing lip liners. I feel like I've expanded my long wearing lip liner collection a ton over the last 2 years. Lip liners are one of those products that I used to think was kind of useless, and then I really came around to them, and now they're one of my, like, next to mascara, most important products in my collection. I think they do wonders if you have smaller lips or aging lips. It's important to have a good lip liner. So let me show you guys the shades that I picked up. First one is the shade Hush Hush Henna. Here's a little swatch on the back of my hand right here. These are retractable lip liners, which I do like. They have kind of like a triangle shape. So here's the shade Hush Hush Henna. Really nice kind of muted rosy nude, kind of dark, which I like. I like a lip liner that has a little bit of depth in it. And then I have this shade, which is Dangerous Dolly. By the way, these also have a brush on the back end, which I thought was kind of gimmicky and I wouldn't use, but I could see how it might be useful. I often just smudge out my lip liner with my finger. So here's Dangerous Dolly. I actually think these shades are somewhat similar. This one just has a little more pink, whereas this one has a little, I don't know if I'd say brown, but it's just a little bit less pinky in tone. I think for today, let's go with the first one for today. Let's go with the Hush Hush Henna one. So I'm just gonna start by overlining. And instead of using my finger, why don't we use the brush instead? By the way, I did check on the amount of product that these give you, and it's the same amount in these retractable pencils as you get in the LA Girl Ultimate Intense Wear retractable pencils, another one of my favorites. Obviously these are quite a bit more expensive. They're nice and creamy, but they feel a little more waxy than the LA Girl ones, which might be a good thing, especially if you have a lot of lines. I wouldn't say these would feel quite as waxy as the Charlotte Tilbury ones do, but maybe just a little bit more stiff and kind of waxy, which might be good for feathering if you have these like vertical lines next to your lips. I have like one or two, but I'm sure more are coming. Makes lip liner a little bit tricky. Very pretty. Hopefully it lasts long. When I swatched it, the last time I swatched it, it lasted forever on the back of my hand, which is usually a good sign. So I'm just gonna let that set down for just a second, then we'll top it with a gloss. Why don't we top it with this? It's just the CoverGirl Clear Yummy Gloss. This is the coconut one. These are really nice. Charlie loves these too. When I have them in my purse, she asked me to put them on her. And here we have it, my friends. This is the finished makeup look. What do you guys think of this one? I really like the eye look. This is a really pretty, for something that normally I think is kind of boring, it looks really flattering on the eyes. Ended up being a bit of a win. I'm really happy about this one. Excited to keep playing with it. Probably not the most like exciting and creative palette ever, but really cute packaging and it performed really well. Very happy with the lip liners. I really like the brush on these. I kind of thought that I wouldn't. I thought that might be a little bit gimmicky, but I had a lot more control with the brush than I do with my finger. I normally just kind of smudge out my lip liner with my finger. And I do think this brush is much better. So that is a major selling point. I really like the bronzer, and as far as the white cream, I'll have to keep playing with this with a couple other products. I don't know that I needed it with this eyeshadow palette today. It did give my eyes a little bit of like pop and brightness, which I don't know that I needed from this palette, but I definitely can use that with some of my other palettes that don't have light enough shade in my opinion. So I see this as a handy product to have with certain palettes. But that is it for now. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts on any of these products. Have you tried out these brands before? Let me know what your experience was with them. If you have any thoughts to share, I'd love to hear from you guys. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Let me give you one final reminder to subscribe to my channel before you leave, but that is going to do it for today. Thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. This is the conspiracy that I've come up with in my head, that there's a makeup loving delivery person that's supposed to be shipping my packages, and they see that it's from Ulta and they get a nice little surprise.